Today we're talking about Britannica Escolar and Britannica Moderna, which are two other Britannica databases that you have access to. Um, Before we get into it, there is a picture of me. I'm just sitting in my apartment here in Chicago. Um, but if you have any questions for me at the end of today, feel free to email me directly. You can email me at jkeating@eb.com, and I'll answer any questions that you've got. I'll also put this up again at the end of the session, so you can feel free to email me with any questions that you might have. So let's talk a little bit about logging into BadgerLink, first of all. So to access any of the Britannica resources in BadgerLink, it's very, very simple. You just need to access from the BadgerLink homepage. You can see over here at the top on the right, there's a little section that says log in, and if you click on that, it will take you to this page where you have to log into your school's your town's library, or you can also use your zip code. And I'm going to go ahead and plug in this zip code for Madison. You can search your resources, you can browse different formats, different subject areas, the audience that you might be looking or searching for, the different content providers you can search specifically, or you can also just search alphabetically as well. And you have a lot, today we're focusing on Britannica, but you have a lot of really great resources here. So if you have some time, definitely take a look at those. And if I scroll through here, I find I come upon all the Britannica resources that you have. You can see we've got quite a few there. Today we're focusing on the Escolar and Moderna. The Escolar and Moderna are our two Spanish databases. So they're written for and written by our native Spanish editorial team. So I'm going to go ahead and just click here where it says Britannica Escolar. And a lot of times people ask, oh, is this just Britannica School or the Britannica articles translated into Spanish? And the answer is no. This is a totally different content collection. As I mentioned, our Latin American team, they are actually the team that's responsible for compiling all the information and doing the editing and the researching and the writing. So there is a different collection of information. But again, it is written by native Spanish speakers for native Spanish speakers. And it will have the same important content, but some of the different like cultural touchstones will be more in line with maybe Latin America and those kinds of things. So just keep that in mind as you're reading through this. But all the important, science, history, all those things you'll definitely have content here. As you can see from the home page, we've got two levels. There's primary and secondary. So let's take a look at the primary first. Okay, this is going to be for your elementary students, K-5 students who are either native Spanish speakers. This is also going to be a nice resource if you have older students who are learning how to speak Spanish, because as I mentioned, everything is in Spanish. The search terms, the keyword terms, you need to search in Spanish. So this will be a good exercise for those students to take advantage of. And up here in the search box, I'm going to plug in, and I have to let you know in advance that my grasp of Spanish is very, very minimum. So I don't have a ton of experience with Spanish beyond my experience with Escolar. So, but I just ran a search for teatro, which is the theater. And you can see here is my search results page. Across the top, I can search for the articles. I can search for images. And I can search for any videos that might be there as well. We don't have any videos for the theater. Another thing I really like here, if you decide, oh, maybe I don't need the primary, maybe I should be looking for secondary resources, you can make that switch here instead of having to go back to the very beginning again. You can make that switch here and see if there's content here that would be more appropriate for you or your students. I'm going to go back to the primary here. I'm going to stick with that primary collection. And you can see as we scroll through some different topics here, different articles. We're going to go to that top article. Oh, wait. Let's do this. There you go. We're going to go to this top article here. And what I really like here, and if you're familiar with Britannica School, they did this at the elementary level of Britannica School, but they've chunked the information so that when your students come into this article, they're not faced with one big block of text, which I think is really nice, especially for those younger emerging readers. Sometimes it can be overwhelming to see a big block of text. It's nicer if you can kind of work your way through it at your own speed. So when students finish this section, they can just click on the section below it, and then that will pop open. We have a tool. It's similar to the Quick Click Dictionary. Let me see if I can find a word here. Here we go. It's similar to the Quick Click Dictionary, and if you're familiar with that we have that as a tool in Britannica School where you can double click on a word and the definition will pop up. In this case, you can double click on a word and it'll give you the English translation of that word. So it doesn't necessarily give you the translation or the definition in Spanish, but it will give you the English translation. And again, that's kind of built for those emerging bilingual learners who are maybe primarily Spanish speaking students and they're learning how to speak English. That tool is in place for those students. And I also want to make sure to point out that these words in blue, these are actually hyperlinked articles. So as users are reading through the text, if they see, oh, I also want to learn about the ballet, they can click on that link and then go into the article about the ballet. So those words in blue are hyperlinked. That's what that means. You can double click any word to see if there is an English translation for that word as well. Another tool that we have in here that we've recently added up here in on the top right, we've got the read aloud function. And we recently added that in, I think that was last summer we added this in. So students can turn that on and listen to that being read out loud if they would like. And over here off to the right, we've got some other tools that are going to be really important. This is how you can favorite a piece to My Britannica, which we'll take a look at in just a moment. We have a print icon here, so you can actually print out the text. If you want to print out the text and share that with students, you certainly can. You can email the article by clicking on this link. Over here is the citation information. This little checkbox will give you the automatic citation for this article. We have a couple of different citation styles that you can choose from. And then just copy that and drop that into your works cited. And then over here, you can actually increase and decrease the font as well. Below that, we've got the Google Classroom. So if you use Google Classroom with your students, you can easily add that in to your Google Classroom and create assignments and questions around that topic. And you can also add the text of this article directly to your Google Drive as well. So these tools you'll find in every encyclopedia article here in the primary level. I also want to make sure to take a look at one of these images here. And any of the images that you find here in Britannica Escolar, these are rights cleared, so you can use them in your teaching. Your students can use them in their projects and presentations. We just ask that you cite Britannica as your source, which is really simple because that citation is built right in over here. To access the images or to grab those images, you can just right click on that photo and save that image to your computer's desktop. If you happen to be on a device like an iPad or an iPhone or any kind of Android tablet, just hold your finger on that image and it will save that image to the camera roll. So there's a couple different ways to save those images. And you can also go over here to this little printer icon. And up here where it says destination, it will allow you to actually save that image as a PDF, or you can save that image directly to Google Drive. So again, there are a couple of different ways you can save any of the images that you find here in Escolar. Again, you can email those images. Here's that citation information again. Below that, we have a direct link. So if you want to hyperlink some text with an image or with a link to an image, or you just want to put that link right in front of your students to make it easy for them to grab that link and check it out, you can share that direct link. And of course, you've got the Google Classroom below as well. So you can easily add any of these directly to Google Classroom. So let me go now to the primary homepage. I'm going to click on the word primary here. And here's the primary homepage. A couple of things I really like to point out to you. We've got some great tools across the top. What I really like up here is the World Atlas. This is one of my favorite resources in Britannica. You can actually get satellite photos. These are just maps powered by Google. So you can get satellite photos. You can run searches in this search box. of any city, state, or country. And then because these are Google Maps, you can zoom in. And in the lower right corner of the map, there's a little orange guy. You can drop him anywhere on the map where you see these blue lines or these blue dots. And it actually puts you right. So right now we're in the Harley-Davidson Museum. Those little blue dots represent something, an image inside of a building or very close to a building, and the blue lines are street views. So this is just a really neat way to kind of look around the world with your students. This tool is also on Britannica School as well. So if you have a few minutes, check it out there too. It's just one of my favorites. You can do so much with it. Science, social studies, literature even. So I'm a big fan of that. And I'm really happy that it's here. And because this is the Escolar, everything is going to be in Spanish for you and for your students to utilize. Below that, we have some different subject browses, some different search topics. So over here, for example, we've got social studies. And you can see over here, we've got some different areas that you can dig into. Let's go into festivals. And over here, just different festivals from around the world and different articles about those different festivals. That's a great tool for students who are browsing or they're just kind of curious. They just want to browse around. That's a really nice tool for those students. So I really like those search topics as well. And every day there's an animal of the day, although every time you move away from this home page and then come back to it, you'll have a different animal. So it's really like an animal of every search term that you run. But I always like to point that out as well. So that is the Escolar for the primary users. And then we have the secondary users over here. A little bit, more mature of a home page here, not quite so such a young appearance. I'm going to go ahead and run a search here. We're going to search on climate. Again, this is all in Spanish, so make sure you're running your search terms in Spanish. Here's my search results page again. I can go from primary to secondary and back and forth if I want to. Let's go to the article about climate. And now, because we're looking at the secondary article, the information is not chunked. There's still quite a bit of information here, but it's not chunked the way that the elementary was, because older students, don't necessarily need to have that information chunked. You'll find the tools are still here. There's quick click dictionaries in place. Up here, we've got the blue arrow that will allow you to share these articles via email, Google Classroom, or Google Drive. The star that allows you to save to My Britannica. The print icon. Over here, we've got the citation information. The read aloud function is here, and then you can again increase and decrease the font, which is really nice if you are sharing this with a large group of students. You can see up here where it says My Britannica. My Britannica is a little additional account that you can set up, and once that is set up, then you can actually save any of the images, photos, articles that you find here in the Escolar into your My Britannica account by just clicking on that star. We don't have time to talk about it, to go into too much detail today, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about it. I also have a quick little video about it I can share with you as well. So just let me know, but hopefully Jen and I were talking about maybe doing one down the road about My Britannica, if that's interesting to anyone. But just wanted to let you know that you can set up a My Britannica account here at the Escolar. On the secondary homepage, a couple of things I want to point out. Again, we've got the World Atlas, which I love, and it's all in Spanish for your students to use. We have a couple other search terms over browsing terms over here. What I really want to point out, though, at the bottom, we've got new and revised articles, and I really love this. This is also a feature in Britannica School, but I really love this because I just think it's a great tool for teachers to, kind of tell our students, oh no, like Britannica has great up-to-date information. You can see here's an example of some of the articles they just updated today. And it also speaks really nicely to information literacy, making sure that you're picking resources that are updated frequently. So this kind of ties in really nicely with that when you're talking to your students about that topic. So I'm really always excited to point that feature out. And then below that, I really love this. This is, we've got a collection of current event or article topics from the BBC Mundo. And I love this because I feel like that maybe, your native Spanish speakers, those emerging bilingual learners, maybe this is a population of students that gets kind of left out when we're talking about current events and things happening around the world, but that can we can kind of squash that now, and we can kind of take a look at these different topics that are happening around the world. These are articles that are written in Spanish, of course, and they're from the BBC Mundo, so it doesn't have any kind of bias or any sort of point of view. It's just going to have content and information for students to read. And again, these will all be in Spanish as well. So I just really like that this is available here. It's just another tool for teachers to put in their toolkit and for students to kind of browse through when they have some time during the day. So that is Britannica Escolar, again, designed for your elementary and secondary, I would say through the middle of high school. And then the other resource that we're going to take a look at today is Britannica Moderna. And the Britannica Moderna is designed for your older students, college students, and family members at home, anyone who wants to access this content. Let's go ahead and run a search here. Let's see. And again, here's my search results page, very similar to what we saw earlier with the Escolar. With the, of course, there's no changing the reading levels here. It's all going to be in just this higher reading level. Images and videos at the top. And then the article itself. Across the top here, we've got, what I like about this video about the theater is that we have a lot of links in here and kind of go and find out even more information about this topic. Again, this blue arrow, so you can kind of browse, you can email this to additional users, add to your Google Classroom, or add the text to your Google Drive. You can save it to your My Britannica if you want to. I got somehow into a different article. Add to your Google or your My Britannica if you want to. Print out the text, find that citation information for this article, and then increase and decrease the font as well, which again comes in really handy when you're showing this on a Zoom meeting, on any kind of, if you're doing a Microsoft Teams meeting. Makes it nice and simple. To get to the home page, just click the word Moderna and it'll take you right back to the home page here. There's the World Atlas in Spanish for you to take a look at. Different videos around this video looks like it's about Chicago, so different videos of the day. And then again, new and revised articles over here as well. And current events from the BBC Mundo too. So adults can take advantage of those current event topics as well. So you can see Britannica, Moderna, and Escolar. They're very, very simple to use. Again, great for those students who are maybe native Spanish speakers but learning how to speak English. A great tool for their families to use as well. So if mom and dad are at home and they maybe primarily speak Spanish, they can take advantage of this too. Or you've got grandparents or older relatives, they can take advantage of all of this. And I also love this for the world language classes, those Spanish classes. This is a great way to get your students kind of reading authentic text. They're reading, informational text in a different language than they're used to. So that is a very good practice for those students as well. So that is Britannica Escolar and Britannica Moderna. I do also want to make sure to show you If I go to britannicalearn.com/resources, you'll find all kinds of just support materials for all the different Britannica online resources. Including the Escolar and the Moderna. So if there's a little drop-down menu here, I can find Escolar here. We've got logos. So if you want to put them on your library's website, there's a little guided tour as well. You can share that with your users so they can kind of find their way around that site. And then there's a little video here as well. It's all in Spanish too. So those students can watch that video, take advantage of that. And then we've got a section here for the Moderna as well. Guided tour, a little video, and then logos in the search box too. Thank you so much for sitting in on this presentation about Britannica Escolar and Moderna. My name is Jennifer Keating. If you have any questions about accessing any of that content at all, please don't hesitate to email me directly, jkeating@eb.com.